When I was a kid, I associated Christmas with receiving toy catalogs in the mail right after Thanksgiving. And these weren't like the skinny catalogs full of ads that you may see today. They were at least a half an inch thick, and they were full of page after page of toys that every kid dreamed of. I can remember dog-earing the pages, circling things that I would love, like the Barbie dream house, and my sister had to use a different color pen to circle her wishes. And I remember one year, my biggest wish of the Christmas season was this. It was a Cabbage Patch doll that talked. I wished and I hoped and I dreamed about this silly doll that probably spoke 3 to 4 lines on repeat when you pushed a button on its foot. Remember now, this was the late 80s, so talking toys were not what we think about today. How many of you remember that one big wish you had for stuff at Christmas? Hey everybody, I am Katie Dahl, and I'm so happy to welcome you to the Daily Dose this week. This week we are asking, how is it possible to have a stress-free Christmas? How can we set aside the fears we have for maybe being together with family members that we're struggling with, or the worry we have about everything from getting food on the table to getting gas in the car to try and make it to 6 different family gatherings in the immediate area? And today, I would like to wonder with you about what things in our life actually cause us stress. There's the stuff that weighs heavy on us, but there's also the literal stuff that has the potential of taking over our lives, especially at Christmas. I mean, I feel like those commercials start airing earlier and earlier every single year. You know, the ones that aim to convince us that our partner doesn't really love us unless he or she buys us a shiny new car with a gigantic bow on the top. Even the YouTubers for my kids' generation, the people that they watch are being sponsored by companies giving them free stuff in order to convince my kids that they need the newest and greatest tech accessory. And if you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, you know deep down that the Christmas story is more than a big marketing campaign. We don't retell the stories of shepherds and angels just because we think you should buy one to display on top of your fireplace. We tell these stories because God really did something unbelievable by bursting into the world as a baby born to a poor, unwed teenage mother who's going to save the world. We know this, right? But let's be honest, our culture makes it hard for us to separate ourselves from the commercials and the ads. And I am certainly no different. I mean, there's always something new, some new kitchen appliance that will make my life easier and better, right? And I'm not here, please hear me out, I'm not here to suggest that we completely scrap the tradition of gift giving at Christmas. I don't think it's our role as Christians to set ourselves completely against the culture that we live in. But I do wonder, how could that message of Jesus keep us from allowing other things to cast a shadow on our lives? When I was a kid that Christmas in the 90s, when I wished and hoped for the talking Cabbage Patch Kid, I didn't get it. I got one that could take a bath instead of talk. And I remember the feeling of disappointment when I opened that gift. And I don't know that I ever expressed it to my parents, but I do know that that silly little toy that I didn't get somehow made me less excited about Christmas. And I think we do this as adults. We want and we want and we want, and when we don't get whatever it is, we're disappointed. Even when we do get that thing, often we forget about it the next month. Our stuff, it weighs heavy on us sometimes. So what if this Christmas we all tried to just be a little more conscious, to try and find ways to offload the stuff, to remember that our worth isn't defined by the things we have or don't have in our house. Our social status is not something that God even cares about. We're not defined by the messages of needing the newest and greatest stuff. We don't need to be stressed out thinking about more things that we should have. There's a version of the Bible, and it's called The Message. It's a translation, and the author took these passages in the Bible that are sometimes kind of hard to understand, hard for us to make sense of, and made them a little more modern, maybe a little more relevant, in order to help us think differently about those words that are so important and were spoken and written so many years ago. And in The Message, Romans 12, verses 1 and 2, they go like this. Take your everyday, ordinary life. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're going to work, you're walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit in without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. It's easy, and it's sure tempting to fix our attention on all of the stuff in our lives, all the stuff on the surrounding our lives. But I love that first line from Romans, your everyday, ordinary life. That is good enough for God. So that the everyday, the ordinary, it's good enough for you, and it's good enough for me too. Thanks so much for being here today, for tuning in. We can't wait to see you on the next Daily Dose.